However, what's not typical is the green binding post is not a grounding post. Instead, the green binding post is used for charging batteries. Alright, let's test how accurate the voltage output is using my Bryman meter. As you can see, the output voltage is pretty much spot on across the board. Good stuff. Now let's test if there is any voltage overshoot when the output is switched on. I have the output preset to 60 volts. And the highest voltage that my meter recorded was spot on at 60 volts. Well done, Ryden. Now let's test the fall time of the power supply. Despite the large smoothing capacitors, the fall time is basically instant. Later I'll hook up my oscilloscope for more in-depth testing. However, before that, let's try charging a battery. For this demo I'll be charging this 18650 lithium cell. To connect the battery to the power supply, I'm using an 18650 cell holder with banana plugs. The negative of the battery is connected to the black post on the power supply, and the battery positive is connected to the green post on the power supply. Lastly, the temperature probe is taped to the battery to monitor the temperature during charging. Once the power supply detects a battery connected to it, the battery icon turns red and the current battery voltage is displayed along with the temperature. To charge this battery, I've programmed a maximum voltage of 4.2 volts and 1 amp of current. Now I can start charging the battery. I'll change the display mode to show the graph. You can change the volts per division by turning the dial to zoom in or out. The green line is the output voltage and the blue line is the output current. As the battery nears full capacity, the current declines, as can be seen on the graph. This feature is almost like having a basic oscilloscope built into the power supply. Once the charge current drops below 100 milliamps, the power supply will automatically stop charging. With regards to the battery temperature probe, I did wonder if the power supply had a thermal shutdown function if the battery temperature was either too high or too low. I couldn't find anything in the manual on this subject, so to test if there was any thermal protection, I placed the probe into a cup of hot water while the power supply is charging a battery. With the temperature reaching 80 degrees C and the battery still charging, it seems there isn't any thermal shutdown function here. Just for giggles, I also tried ice water to bring the temperature down to 4C, and you won't be surprised to know that the power supply kept charging the battery the entire time. To be clear, Ryden didn't mention anything about a thermal shutdown function for battery charging, so the results are hardly surprising.
And then we need to do the connection configuration. So if we go to network distribution, that's where we put in our Wi-Fi details. So you just configure the Wi-Fi settings through the app, and then once it's all set up, you can connect to the supply itself. Now at the top it's got a real-time graph of what's going on with the output voltage and current. So we've got two tracers, green and cyan for voltage and current. It's also showing you the numerical values here, output power, and then the input voltage. If I change the voltage on the power supply that's feeding it, you can see that's getting updated about once every second or so. To change the voltage, you can click on here. You've got the arrows to move to which digit that you want to change, and you just use the knob just here. Click set. You can turn the power supply on and off here, and you can see that's updated that. So 30 volts, pretty much 30 volts exactly. So the accuracy on this thing does seem to be fairly good. I've tested it at a few different voltages here. Oops. We'll just change that to something else. 46 volts. and 46 volts. So it does seem to work quite nicely. There's not that much else on this app. I don't know what call out does. If you click it, you just get this number 2, so I don't know what that does. But you've got the temperature, you've got the backlight. It's currently on the highest backlight setting, but if you wanted to change it to something else, you can see that you can update that. And then at the bottom there, we've just got some of the information. If you're doing battery functions, it does have this one pin here. This isn't a mains earth connection. This is a dedicated pin for doing battery testing. So you can connect up your lithium batteries or whatever, charge it, discharge it, all of that kind of stuff through there. In fact, no, I think it's only charging that you can do, not discharging. But it gives the information here. You've got the ability to read the temperature through the thermocouple that plugs into it, and then it gives you the capacity and the watt hour, also the model RD6012 serial number and the firmware. But that's all that this app does. The PC app appears to be quite a bit more functional.